Welcome to the first episode in a Legendarium series called Beasts in Medieval Lore. Today we'll be talking about the wolf. Given that agrarian societies must keep sheep, goats, pigs, and cattle to survive, and that wolves find such animals delicious, it is not surprising that humanity came to regard wolves with dread. Many villages in Anglo-Saxon England are recorded as having built wolf pits, likely great holes dug into the earth and concealed with blankets, then baited to lure wolves to their death. During the reign of King Aethelstan in the 10th century, wolves were so prevalent in Yorkshire that a thane named Acehorn built a retreat at Flixton so that travelers might seek refuge from wolves in the event of an attack. However, other Anglo-Saxon nobles did much more than just build retreats to protect their subjects. They also hunted. Among the nobles of medieval Europe, hunting was both a pastime and a means to learn the skills for hunting men in war, and the tracking and killing of wolves was considered to be the highest and most noble form of hunting. Indeed, King Aethelstan himself was known to exact tributes of wolf-hounds from lesser monarchs for the hunting of wolves, and wolf pelts were great prizes in the halls of his thanes. Even after the Norman conquest, the French-speaking kings of England appointed royal foresters tasked with hunting and killing wolves to protect the deer that they loved to hunt and the flocks of the English-speaking peasants they loved to tax. However, the terror of wolves began well before the Christian era. In a Greco-Roman tale in the skein of Aesop's fables called The Wolf and the Kids, the wolf is portrayed as a monster. A mother goat warns her kids not to open the door to anyone. They intend to obey her instructions, but a wolf outside the house happened to overhear them, and as soon as the mother goat was out of sight, the wolf impersonated the mother goat, asking the kid goats to open the door and let him inside. And when the gullible kids opened up the door, the wolf devoured them, and the mother goat returned home to a blood-spattered house. Obviously, this was a cautionary tale, meant to terrify children of the ancient world against strangers who might be bandits or slave traders. However, the coming of Christianity made men see the wolf not only as a threat to their flocks and communities, but to their souls. While the medieval mind was capable of observation, it was also a mind profoundly shaped by Christian teachings, looking for the work of God and the devil in all things. Given that a fear of wolves is ingrained in most agricultural societies because of the fear they will take our sheep and goats, it is not surprising that Christian Europe saw wolves as hounds of the devil. They ascribed all manner of supernatural powers to wolves. It was believed that she-wolves only gave birth during thunderstorms, in the belief that this would give their cubs the blessing of the devil and make them bringers of storms to Christians throughout Europe. And not only did medieval Europeans believe that wolves ate the flesh of their victims, but they believed that wolves would lap up their still steaming blood like water. And they also believed that wolves' eyes were as luminous as lamps, and that if a man looked straight into them, he would be robbed of his voice and unable to raise the alarm to his fellows. And the only way to break the spell would be to take off all of his clothes and pound two rocks together in his hands, one of the many bizarre superstitions that thrived in medieval Europe alongside a devout Christianity. But one story that tells us just how afraid medieval people were of the wolf is Little Red Riding Hood. Not the family-friendly version you are probably familiar with, but a medieval variant that dates back to the 10th century and was found in modern-day Germany, France, and England. Now remember, fairy tales were not meant to amuse children, but to terrify them. As in our modern version, a young girl is traveling through the forest to bring food to her grandmother. She encounters a wolf in the woods who advised her to take a shortcut, which is in fact a longer route. The foolish girl took his advice, and the wolf used this time to approach the grandmother's house, where he proceeds to eat her and takes her clothes to fool Little Red Riding Hood. However, this is where the medieval and modern versions diverge. In the medieval version, not only does the wolf kill the grandmother, but he drains her blood into a bottle and slices up her flesh before putting it on a platter and laying it out on the table. Both items are left for Little Red Riding Hood when she arrives, and as the girl walks in, the wolf, dressed as the grandmother, tells Red that she left steak and wine out for her, great delicacies to the people at the time and a rare thing to find on a peasant table. And so Little Red Riding Hood unknowingly ate the flesh and drank the blood of her own grandmother. And this familial cannibalism was a twisted parallel to the Christian tradition of the Eucharist, when parishioners took the body and blood of Christ as bread and wine. And in tricking Little Red Riding Hood into eating her own grandmother, the wolf also tricked Red into committing the mortal sin of cannibalism. With this horrible crime on her conscience, Red goes into her grandmother's bedroom and the wolf devours her. No woodsman comes to save her, and the well-fed wolf simply slinks back into the woods, and Red is sent to hell for all eternity, having died with the sin of cannibalism on her conscience. In the medieval mind, the wolf was not simply a carnivore, but a devil's hound sent to drag us to hell, and not even children who were unwary would be safe from his snares. And that wraps things up for this episode of The Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, please let me know in the comment section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.